everyone. So I've got a bit of explaining to do. Yesterday was meant to be our endometrial scratch, but we didn't go ahead. For those of you who don't know what an endometrial scratch is, it's where they scratch the uterine lining, which causes a repair reaction, which is meant to increase embryo implantation rates. The new lining that grows after the scratch is thought to be more receptive to an embryo implanting. So yes, I'll start from the beginning. Yesterday morning, we were getting ready to go. I was looking through my dates. Usually you get your endometrial scratch done on day 21 of your cycle or around then. Yesterday I was day 24 of my cycle. And I was looking at my dates, and for some bizarre reason, I had my fertile period week mixed up with another week, and I all of a sudden went into a panic and worried that we may have conceived this month because my fertile period was in a different week than I thought it was. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. So the morning, and my appointment was at 3:15, so all day I was just worrying about what if we have conceived this month. I mean, the chances are very low, as you guys know, but since being told IVF would probably be our option to conceive, and the chances of conceiving weren't very high. I have conceived twice naturally since November, so I know it is possible, and I just would hate to go ahead with the scratch and wondering whether there is an embryo currently trying to implant was just messing with my mind. And you know, I would have been, if we have conceived this month, I'd be about 7 days past ovulation, which would be too early to detect on a pregnancy test. So there was no point taking a pregnancy test. Of course, nothing will come up on an ultrasound. So we were just, Tim and I went out for lunch beforehand, and we're just going over what we should do. It was a really tough decision to make. We just felt so stupid. The thought of going ahead with the scratch made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. It didn't sit right with me. Before going into the appointment, we decided if we can see which side I'd ovulated from using an ultrasound, that would be our deciding factor. If I'd ovulated from my left side, which is my blocked fallopian tube, then we'd go ahead with the scratch. But if I'd ovulated on my right, then we'd delay it. So after lunch, we decided to still go to our appointment and discuss with our doctor what he thinks we should do. I still took the pain medication an hour prior to the endometrial scratch, or to when it was scheduled to happen, just in case. We went to the appointment, and I walked in, and the doctor said, he wasn't our usual OB, but he was lovely. He said, "You look absolutely terrified." And I said, "I'm not terrified about the scratch, I'm just terrified about making the right decision. Of course, we don't want to delay this process any more than we need to." Anyway, so we talked it through with him, and he was pretty much happy to go ahead if we wanted to with the scratch, or, book it for 4 weeks later. I explained to him, because he was not our usual OB, that one tube is blocked, my left one, and the other one's partially blocked. So if I ovulated on my left side, then we'd go ahead with the scratch, because I know if I'd ovulated on my left side, pregnancy isn't possible. So I suggested I have an ultrasound to see which side I ovulated, and if it was my left, we'd go ahead with the scratch. He then put a spanner in the works and explained to us, which we had no idea, this blew our minds, we did not know this. So the doctor explained to us that it is still possible to become pregnant after ovulating on a side where you either have a blocked fallopian tube or no fallopian tube at all, because the fallopian tube on the other side can reach over to the ovary that's ovulating and suck the egg through that fallopian tube. What? We had no idea this was even possible. So the fallopian tubes aren't connected to the ovaries completely, which I don't think I realised either. They kind of hover around, and each month when you release an egg from one of the ovaries, both ovaries gravitate towards the ovary that's ovulating. So this just blew our minds. We had no idea. So he said even if you did ovulate on your left side, which is my block side, there's still a chance that your right fallopian tube has picked up the egg. And he's seen it happen to women who have ovulated on the side that they've had their fallopian tube removed and become pregnant. So, I mean, the likelihood of that happening is probably not very high. But, you know, it's just we learnt something. We had no idea. So he basically said he's happy to do the scratch if we want to go ahead. Because the embryo is microscopic, there's no way of knowing whether it's implanted or whether it's still floating around. But either way, doing the scratch could still cause damage to the embryo. And if we did become pregnant and miscarried at, say, 6-7 weeks, how would we feel? You know, would we always wonder if the endometrial scratch had damaged the embryo and caused the miscarriage? So even though the likelihood of me being pregnant is pretty low this month, we just thought for peace of mind reasons we would delay doing the scratch for a month, which means if I'm not pregnant this month, the scratch will be in September and the frozen embryo transfer will be in October now, because we're idiots. It's tricky to switch your mind from trying to get pregnant to trying to avoid it happening, even though, you know, we need to get the scratch done and it increases your chances of implantation. We've had 2 failed fresh transfers, so our doctor highly recommended we do the scratch and not go straight into doing the frozen transfer next month. So that is the plan. We still want to do the scratch. I didn't back out of it because I was scared of the pain, and I want to thank all of the women who helped me feel a bit more prepared the night before the scratch was meant to be. On Instagram, I asked for any tips and advice, and they were all very helpful, so thank you so much for sharing your experiences. I will definitely keep them in mind when we do the scratch, and I will pay more attention to when my fertile period is. Usually I'm all over it. You know, I know what's happening when. This month, I don't know what happened. I just got in my head that I was fertile in a different week than I was, and only yesterday when I looked at the dates, I realised, oh crap. Yeah, I just feel like if we had gone ahead with the scratch, I would have always wondered what could have been, or what, you know, I don't know. I think this decision is, we made a decision we're comfortable with, and, you know, knowing our luck, we're probably not pregnant and we've just delayed it another month, but at least we've got peace of mind. And what's in a month? You know, it's only 4 weeks. So fingers crossed we're pregnant this month. It's all very confusing. I don't know whether the 2 times we've conceived this year have been a complete fluke and it's not likely to happen on its own again. I just don't know, but it has happened twice this year, so we just thought we'd play it safe, just in case. A symptom I've been getting the last few days to make me think maybe I am pregnant, and I hate to symptom spot because I did it for a good year and a bit, and every time I thought I was pregnant, I had major hunger pains and cravings and you know, I was exhausted and I was having vivid dreams. All of those months I had those symptoms, I wasn't pregnant. And the months that I was pregnant, I had no symptoms whatsoever. So I'm not a believer in symptom spotting anymore, for me anyway. But the last few days I have been feeling slight twinges of pain, not excruciating pain, just twinges in my uterus. And it would, I guess, coincide with the implantation period. So who knows? It could just be random twinges of pain for no reason whatsoever. That's the only symptom really that's making me think perhaps. Tim's been in a bit of a, I think he's really struggling now to see babies and pregnant people. He's in a bit of a headspace that I've been in many times. But the last few days he's really been in a bad headspace. When we went out to the shops, he's like, every single person has a child. It's something you can't avoid seeing when you're out and about, and it does discourage you. But I've been trying to remind him that it will be us one day, and you know, someone else will be saying the same thing about us. You know, you don't know their story, you don't know what they've been through to get their child. It is a hard reminder of what you don't have yourself, but you just have to trust your journey and believe that one day we will get there too. Yeah. The likelihood of me being pregnant isn't very high, but you never know, and miracles happen every day. Just to let you guys know as well, in a couple of weeks I will be doing a live streaming video along with a Mother's Open Book and Waiting to Expect around infertility and trying to conceive, struggles and topics that surround that. So we'll all be filming live and asking each other questions, and also getting questions from you guys, hopefully. If you tune in, you'll be able to ask us questions live and we can answer them, just discussing our experiences and you know, what opinions we have on certain topics. So it should be good. I'll remind you guys again closer to the date and give you guys the time as well. Baby dust to you all, and I will update you soon on whether or not I cancelled my scratch for no reason. Take care of yourselves and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. It is possible for your right fallopian tube to reach over to your left ovary, or whichever side is the blocked. Oh, I'm not explaining this well.